presenter is Sally Houghton. She is the Executive Director of the Plastics Recycling Corporation of California, which seeks to increase PET recycling in California. I'm sorry, I got distracted. She is no stranger to the plastics industry, and she has worked at this nonprofit since 2007. In this role, she coordinates a team that manages all aspects of the PET recycling stream, including a strong supply chain, knowledge of the PET industry, logistics, quality control, and legislative understanding. All right, Sally, welcome. Everybody's going to keep filtering in. So you can hit the blue button to advance your slides.
Okay.
And she's got your timer.
Okay, thank you. Well, good afternoon. I realized as I was sitting there how fortunate I am for two reasons. One is that I get to see real people, human people, warm bodies, not two-dimensional, three-dimensional. I wear pants, not pajamas. So that's great. And secondly, I got the slot after lunch. So that means you're all happy and content with full stomachs, because anything before lunch, that's a dodgy slot, but there we go. So thank you very much. Who am I? I'm Sally Houghton, as was introduced. I am the Executive Director of the Plastic Recycling Corporation of California, or PRCC. It is a bit of a mouthful. So PRCC, who is PRCC? We are a non-profit, an industry membership organization, and we came about as a direct result of the bottle bill. So that's 30 years. So we've been around 30 years. Our members are made up of the beverage manufacturers and the bottle manufacturers who, quite uniquely, back 30 years ago, came together as a result of the legislation and thought, how can we stimulate, how can we help develop the PET beverage recycling infrastructure here in California? And that's how PRCC came into existence. So we're an example of sort of early producer responsibility. So we've been doing this for quite a long time. And one of the things we want is good quality PET, because I'm grateful to California, despite commitments that brands have made. California actually passed a law that went into effect this year, the beginning of this year, that mandated the use of recycled PET in every PET beverage bottle that's distributed into the state has to have recycled content in it. So that's great news. So that's good news. Someone that's been in the industry for as long as I have, it's good news. There are good players who've been committed and doing this for a long time, but it means those that weren't so committed now have to. So that's great news. So I'm taking this from my industry industry head. What we do is we try and stimulate the collection of PET here in California, and we try and make sure that when it's recycled, it goes to reclaimers here or converters here in the state who can convert it back into a raw material. Good sustainability practices. One of the things that we do is we do PET bale sorts, in other words, a bale analysis. Because here in California, there are two methods of collection. And I'm sure you're aware of this, so forgive me for preaching to the choir. But the two methods are, there's the curbside method, that's your blue bin. And then there's the buyback centers where you can go and redeem your money, or you can go and redeem your bottle. We in PRCC have classified the buyback center as grade A material. It's good material. It's free from contamination on the whole. And it's the preferred choice for many of the converters. Why is it the preferred choice? Because it's cleaner, it has less contamination, and that provides less problems with processing, which is an easier and more sustainable method of converting. The curbside material, when we did our PET bale sort, we noticed that how that bale is sorted at a reclamation facility, at a MRF, at a material recovery facility, really does impact the quality of that material. I know that's, seems obvious, but we did notice that. And we then found that there were two distinct grades of material coming through the MRF system. And we called them grade B and B with thermoforms. And so these are the 6 different categories that we notice with sortation. You can see grade A at the bottom, that's coming through the buyback centers. And then you have 5 very distinct ways that material is sorted, and this impacts the quality of those bales. Why is it important to PRCC and generally in the industry is we would like to see as much of that PET beverage container collected and reprocessed as possible. But several of these sortation methods leave the thermoforms in with the bales. So that's reducing the amount of good quality PET that can be reprocessed. And so when we did our bale sort, this is what we discovered. This is the methodology we use for those data nerds of you, among you. So what we did is we took bales from about 20 different locations, all following those categories, because we wanted to look at the specifics of those categories. We pulled about 200 pounds, and trust me, it's a dirty job, but someone has to do it. And what we did is we did a first sort where we pulled out those various, we wanted to look at these different samples. So the CRV material, that's a colored California Redemption Value material. And then we looked at the non-CRV PET, that would be things like your mayonnaise jars and your peanut butter jars. And then thermoforms. I don't know if you're familiar with the term thermoform, but that would be when you buy a salad or a cake dome, they are the thermoforms. And so we pulled those apart. Then we did a second sort into, from those particular first sort, we then did in a more thorough, got into the weeds a little bit more, and looked at what actually is the better quality PET, because there are some issues with some bottles that are not particularly recycling friendly, like those with metal on them, or some that have nylon barriers, not all barriers, but some nylon barriers that are an issue. And so that was the methodology. And here's the data that we found. What's significant here, you can see I've split it into grade A, that's the buyback material, and then B and B with thermoforms. And you can see there on the where I've highlighted in red, a grade A bale, you can expect 95% beverage containers in those bottles. That's great. That's the material that we want, and that's the easiest to repurpose or reconvert. The grade B material, where they pull the thermoforms, is 65%, and those with thermoforms only 41%. So that's a very low percentage. And then at the bottom, this is the sexy material that we really like. This is the clear light blue material, because that is the one that's most likely or the best material, the best quality material to be converted. Now, why is that an issue to us? Is because here in California, the state provides a commingled rate. It pays MRFs a commingled rate of 61.5% to have clear CRV in their bales. As you can see, several of the MRFs are falling below that. And that is of concern to us, because we would like to see as much bottles reclaimed as possible. And we would like to isolate the thermoforms and have that as a separate feedstock. There's a lot of work now in the thermoform recycling. There's new investment, and there's new opportunities to convert thermoforms back into a raw material. As a sustainability person, that's significant to me and important. So just to show, we've done bale sorts, we do them regularly, but this is from the year before, and you can see that it is not an aberration, that actually 2 years running, we saw the same type of data, that those that do not positively sort and pull out the thermoforms, but leaving them run through, have a significantly lower number of PET beverage containers in their bales. As I say, that is something we would like to see change. We would like to see better quality in order to meet these mandates, and also for sustainability reasons. Now, the market itself does reflect how valuable those grade A bales are to those end users, to those PET buyers. You can see the blue line, I hope you can see the blue line, is the grade A material. You can see right now it's going through the roof because of mandates. It's a very valuable commodity at the moment. And I've explained why, because it's an easier one to process. So you can see here how valuable it is. And then what's significant to me and interesting to me is the green, and I think that's gray, those gray lines. You can see how the grade B buyers of PET, those that convert it, are now beginning to see financially what a benefit it is to have the better quality grade B, and it's reflected in the pricing. B with thermoforms is less easy to process and therefore has a lower value. So all in all, economically, it would be better to pull those thermoforms. So the findings are that due to the California commingled rate, which is at 61%, many of the MRFs fall beneath that. And we're finding that two grades, which we call grade B, are being underpaid for the material that they collect. And that doesn't seem right. And those that aren't, that are allowing the thermoforms to go through with the collection, are being overpaid. And this is something that for someone in the industry, we need as much of that good quality PET as possible. I would like to see the thermoforms collected separately, or at least pulled from. So that's the conclusion there. That's the chart there showing you what the actual overpayment is and percentage wise. And again, I can, I'll be around later if anyone wants more details. So the conclusion is, if you take nothing from this strange woman up here with a funny accent, is that there's two things. One, that the commingled rate is inaccurate and needs updating. And secondly, that we are a big supporter of a good, healthy bottle bill here in the state, because it is that material that is of value when it comes to reclamation. And we also understand that it does need modernization. It does need some tweaks to it in order to make it more accessible to the consumer. But bottle bills are renowned for being the best method for collection. So thank you very much. I hope that's been of interest to you. Do you want me to put this back on? No, you don't need that. Okay.
Can we take a question from this audience here? We've got one right here. David, yep.
Two-part question. One is it possible at all to get grade A PET out of curbside? And the other part of the question is there an emerging market for thermoforms in the future?
No, the way that grade A's are collected at a curbside when it's all mixed in together, no, it is not possible to get a grade A. And yes, there is a burgeoning market for thermoforms. There's a new facility that's now taking thermoforms and converting it back into a thermoform pellet or a thermoform flake. And it's really difficult to try and process or convert thermoform and bottles together. You can, to a certain extent, depending on your end market. But if you want bottle to bottle, you really want to keep thermoforms out of the bottle. It's a different plastic, it has a different IV, a different intrinsic viscosity. And so it's very difficult to do that. So yes, we would like, there is a growing market in answer to your question to thermoforms. And I think it's important that we have that as an alternative feedstock as well.
And we're going to take a question from our online community.
Yes, we have a question from Alma Freeman. Where is the thermoform processing facility located?
The converter, I am assuming that's what you mean, the converter. Right now, there is one in Mexico, but there are plans to grow more. And several of the reclaimers here in California are working with just processing thermoforms as well. So it is a growing market, and I'm really pleased. I'm excited about that because there's so many thermoforms, and that's a growing package here in the state. Well, not in the state, everywhere.
Yeah, we got a second question.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a question about kind of incentivizing MRFs to actually sort thermoforms. So currently we really don't have the financial incentive to do so.
Correct.
Because of volume and value. And you could see that pricing hadn't gone up like the rest of our PET does. So what are your thoughts or suggestions on how to incentivize that market to really get us as MRFs and programs to actually sort thermoforms as separate bales?
Well, there's a couple of things we can do. We can change the commingled rate. We can provide, infrastructure funding. CalRecycle, as we know, has a big, fat, healthy, let me rephrase that, a big, fat, healthy, money at the moment. So they can certainly help with funding. Thank you. I knew it began with F. Yeah. So they can help with that. But also, if we can encourage pulling of thermoforms and get that developing market now. I mean, there is a price for thermoform bales now, and we need to, it's almost like the Wild West of the PET bottle, like 20, 30 years ago. We're in that similar sort of new growth. And I think that once that starts to kick off, especially with mandates, and who knows, there may be mandates in packaging as well, and that's going to be in high demand, thermoform to thermoform. That's a possibility. I know there was a talk about the plastic in legislation earlier. So I think that will also, providing those end markets and mandates do that. Sorry, am I?
No, just a carrot and stick.
Yeah,
question.
carrot and stick question. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the market will do it.
I have time for one more. What you got? Oh wait, let's come on over. Yeah, okay. Sir, come on over with your microphone, please, right here.
I thought it was someone throwing something at me.
Yeah, just curious what your thoughts are on expanding the CRV program to include other peat bottles, beyond just soda and water and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I'm in favor of that. We need the feedstock. I mean, it is sort of getting in there already through curbside particularly, but yeah, as long as they are designed for recyclability, that the recyclability is compatible with the current stream, I see no problem in that. I mean, I'm sure some of my members might not agree, but I do too, in terms of, you know, a feedstock and good quality PET. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.